Welcome to the Outdoor Sports Club channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jake, and I wanted to introduce my daily driver slash project car. More of a daily driver than a project car, because I'm not going to do that much to it. So anyway, this is the 05 Subaru Outback.
That's right.
And I picked this up a few months ago, and I'm going to do some work on it and try to make it, you know, my car. So this one, it's got 140,000 miles on it, and it's got some problems, some issues here and there. Engine seems to be running pretty good. I don't see any signs of head gasket issues so far. So belts seem good, all that good stuff. So no big worries there at the moment. The wheels are these are plastic dipped wheels, and they're peeling. The other side's worse. Which I did some of that, so I'm going to be peeling those off this winter and probably sanding them down and repainting them, I think. The biggest problem so far has been with the airbag controller, which I did a video on that. The resetting it, the airbag control module did not fix the problem, so there's some kind of an issue with the passenger seat. And there's also a PO420 catalyst system efficiency below threshold. Engine light, I'm a little bit upset at myself over the airbag control issue, or the airbag system issue, because there were some signs that there was a bigger problem there than what I was thinking it was at first, and I just didn't notice the signs. The PO420 kicked in right after I bought the car and was driving it. It was about 20 miles down the road, and that kicked in. Not much you can do about that. So anyway, the reasons that I have for buying the car are, I'm going to step in here and we're going to look at it. The reasons I have for buying the car are, I wanted something relatively reliable, relatively cheap, relatively economical in terms of fuel economy, and comfortable to drive on the road with plenty of room for my family and room for our stuff if we want to go camping or on vacation, and also somewhat capable off-road. Now, the Subaru has, you know, obviously a good reputation with their all-wheel drive system and with their suspension. It's really good, and the more I drive this car, the more I think that it's up to the hype, or lives up to the hype. I'm really happy with the way it handles on the road, and the little bit of off-road that I've done. I wouldn't call it off-road. It was just not on paved road, or, you know, driving across, not necessarily a gravel road either, but not a paved road, and definitely nothing rough. Anyway, it's felt really good so far. So I'm very happy with it there, and I think that this is a really good all-around car. It's never going to be the off-road vehicle that some other rides are going to be, but those other rides are not going to be as comfortable to drive on the road as this one, and they're probably not going to be as fuel efficient. So my original idea for such a car as this was the Rally Fighter. I saw the Rally Fighter and I was like, man, that would be really sweet if that was a wagon, so that I'd have more room in the back and my family can ride in it. So I got to thinking, man, I'm gonna go home and research cars and see if I can find an all-wheel drive station wagon that can be lifted. And as it turns out, people do it all the time to Subarus, and you can't lift them that much without getting yourself in trouble with the CV angles and having some reliability issues. So you can only do so much, and as it turns out, I'm not going to even do that much. I thought about doing a 2-inch lift. I got crazy at the beginning and was asking people about doing 4-inch lifts on a Subaru Outback, and you can do it. It's just you got to do a lot of work to it. I'm trying to keep this as cheap as possible, and I don't want to turn it into, as I got to thinking about it, I don't need it to go hang with lifted Jeeps. I've got friends that have some lifted Jeeps, and I hope to go on trips with them and stuff, but I don't need it to hang with lifted Jeeps. I need it to be comfortable because I'm driving it to work every day and I'm going and getting groceries in it, and I want it to be comfortable and fuel efficient-ish, you know. So right now I'm getting anywhere from 25.5 to 27.5 miles to the gallon. That seems to be pretty standard on those vehicles. But you know, it'll probably drop a little bit if I put bigger tires on it and stuff like that, and I can take it down a little bit and it's not a problem. So what else was I gonna say? Oh, another reason I like these, I meant to mention this and I didn't, they've got a really low center of gravity. They got that little lightweight boxer engine. This one's just a 4-cylinder non-turbo, little bitty boxer engine, low center of gravity. So one thing that I thought about doing was if I have to, and I don't know that I'll do this, but one of these days maybe I'll try it, but I was thinking about trimming out the wheel wells and doing body work on it and trying to fit the biggest tire I can with just a very, very mild lift, and trimming those out and keeping it as low as possible while still getting that ground clearance from the tires, a little bit from the suspension, a lot from the tires. But what we'll wind up doing, what I'm going to do to this this weekend, oh, there's also one more issue with it that I forgot about that I'm having to fix pretty soon, and that is the front passenger side hub is whining pretty badly. It took me a while to diagnose it, but the everything's pretty solid when you get this thing up in the air. Everything is pretty solid on all the wheels. The ball joints feel good. The steering components feel really good. They look good. There's no issues. You can't see them from up top, but there's the boots on the CVs look really good, and I'm wondering, I'll just stick this camera underneath there and maybe we'll see something, but I can't tell what it's looking at. But basically the CVs look really good, and there's when you're driving down the road, there's this constant whine going on that is associated with road speed, not engine speed, and it doesn't matter if you're in gear or not. And if you turn to the left, going slowly, there's no noise. If you turn all the way to the lock, turning left, if you turn all the way to the lock going right, it grinds while you're going slowly. And also at road speed, if you kind of rock the wheel back and forth a little bit, the pitch doesn't change. So I don't think there's anything wrong with axles or ball joints or anything like that. I think it's just that hub, and I bought, good boy, I bought 2 hubs. I may just change the side over there and then drive it and see how it sounds, and keep the other one for this side if it ever goes out. Or I might just change them both, I don't know. And then the other thing we've got is these are from Primitive Racing. These are uprated King Springs on brand new KYB struts. And on the rears, same deal on the rears, but they're they have a, it's supposed to be a 1-inch spacer. I don't think that's 1 inch, but anyway, that's what they sell. That's the way they sell it. And so yeah, that's maybe they said 1/2 inch. I thought they said 1 inch, but anyway, you know what? They did say 1/2 inch, and that's slightly under 1/2 inch. But these, I bought these as a package, and I don't really need new struts right now, so I was gonna do, I think it's Gorilla Racing or Gorilla Off-Road. They've got some 1-inch HDPE strut top spacers that you slap on top of here, just like these, but you do it on the front and the back, and that would get you 1 inch of lift, and that's pretty reasonable. That's not gonna put too much wear and tear on your CVs. So I thought about doing that because it's a lot cheaper than these, but it's like 150 bucks for that kit. You can also do Adf spacers, and they look like they're really high quality spacers. I think they're steel or aluminum. They look really high quality, the ADFs do, but they're several $100s, and it's just spacers. So I'm not going to buy ADF stuff. It's pretty pricey for what it is, I think. And again, I think they're high quality. They look like they're made really well. I just don't know that it's necessary to get metal if you're just doing spacers. But as far as I can tell, the struts on this car are factory struts. They look like they're in pretty good shape, so I'm not that worried about them. But I thought I might as well go with new struts and use these springs to lift these. These fronts are supposed to lift about 5/8 of an inch to 3/4, and these are supposed to lift an inch, a ½ inch with the stiffer springs, and a ½ inch with the spacer. And it's supposed to give a pretty darn good ride from everything that I hear, and get you a little bit extra ground clearance. I want to turn some wrenches on this thing. I'm kind of looking forward to this weekend when we go out and actually start putting these parts on, but I didn't want to assemble and disassemble struts, so that's why I ordered these pre-assembled. And it's costly. I think it's $800 for the kit. No, it's more than that. It's like $400 for just the springs, I think, which the springs are kind of pricey for what they are too, speaking of ADF. And then the struts are like another, I don't know, it got up to like $1,200, and then no, it got up to like $900, and if you have it all assembled there, it cost you a few hundred more, and then shipping was 114 bucks. So we're talking about like $1,350, but for me, it made sense. So I don't know that it would make sense for everybody. I talk about wanting to keep this as cheap as possible, and then I order $1,300 and worth of struts and springs that I don't necessarily need. So we'll see if I'm crazy or not. And that's all I'm going to do for now. I've thought about doing a roof basket. I'm not sold on roof baskets, but I plan on having a full-size spare eventually, and I'm not going to have room in the back for the spare. So I'm thinking about getting a small roof basket and putting the spare up on top and locking it, and then maybe putting a few more things up there. Eventually, I would like to see if, like, I want to fit the biggest tire possible under there without trimming the body. So and the real trick is going to be not with the lift, but the front and backs, I think. I think we're going to have issues on the front and back with rubbing, and especially as the wheel turns, there's just not a lot of room there. Plenty of room here, and obviously you've got your suspension travel that you've got to watch out for. Make sure that you hit your bump stop before you hit up here, but I don't think that that's going to be my limiting factor. I don't believe that'll be my bottleneck. So if this lift does what they say it'll do, and if I can fit another ½ inch taller tire, then that'll put me at roughly 9.5 inches of ground clearance, based on what they say. Now this thing, I think it's settled a little bit. I don't think the ground clearance is quite I think it's 8 3/8 factory, which is actually pretty darn close to my Chevy Silverado. That's a little misleading because the Chevy Silverado has more clearance in between the wheels, and it's just that it's got a differential hanging down and some other parts, mainly the differential hanging down, where this thing's pretty level underneath. It's pretty flat underneath. So but that's a little misleading, because if you drive the Silverado correctly, you can clear more stuff than this. But this, you really don't have to worry about it unless you're, trying to straddle things that are big enough to wreck your oil pan and your differential and things like that. So anyway, but if I can get these springs will give it technically more ground clearance than my Silverado, but with a lighter all-wheel drive, low center of gravity, fuel efficient car. And then if I can fit bigger tires under it, it'll just be that much more. Originally I wanted to get 10.5 inches of ground clearance. I don't know that I'm going to get there. What else are we going to do to it? I would like to eventually paint it. I hate this color, but that's going to be a big job that I'm not really wanting to tackle. So wheels, tires, lift, roof basket. Oh, put a push bar on the front, a small push bar. I think I'm going to try to make it. I made one for my old pickup that was kind of ugly, and I sort of like ugly, which is another reason I bought this. These kinds of cars are pretty popular in, like, it's the state car of Utah, and they're pretty popular in the Northwest This lighting is terrible. I either need to come into the shed or stay out of the shed. They're really popular in the Northwest. Here in Oklahoma, the only people that drive these cars are like really old people and leftists, you know. And I'm not, you know, I'm not leftist. I don't, you know, I'll hang out with liberals. I don't care. There's just certain subjects we can't talk about because they'll get really angry. But that's the only people that seem to drive them around here. It's like older people and like gay people and leftists, I guess. You know, and I'm not. That's just the stereotype. That's the kinds of people that drive these feminists drive Subaru Outbacks. It seems like not all of them, you know. But here in Oklahoma, it's not that popular of a ride. And so one of the things that I was thinking is, you know, I want something that nobody else has, and I want something that makes sense to me. Nothing against Jeeps or Toyota, you know, 4Runners or Land Cruisers or Scouts or anything like that. There's some really cool cars, and you know, I like those cars too. They just don't make a lot of sense to me. So and you know, they can become more capable vehicles, especially for off-road and camping and stuff like that. But you can't get one of those as fuel efficient, I don't think, as one of these. And if you have a Jeep that's dedicated to kind of off-road sort of work, it's not going to be as comfortable to drive on the road. It's certainly not going to get fuel economy and be as relaxed of a ride. It's going to be kind of, you know, down the road. So anyway, we'll see what happens, and I'll keep everybody posted. This is going to be hopefully a common theme on the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot with this car, and I hope to be able to show you guys kind of the process as we go along. So the 2005 Subaru Outback. Thanks for watching.